And boy, folks, this is going to set the tone. I'm really riled up. I'm really riled up. Our country has gone to freaking hell in a handbasket since January 20th, 2021. For obvious reasons, which I can't state on this platform, but we all know who should be in the Oval Office. We all know who's in the Oval Office and how they really got there. All right, we all know. Everybody knows the truth about this, not just here in the United States, everyone around the world. Why do you think there were certain leaders, world leaders, that, let's just say, delayed their congratulations and their official and unofficial acceptance of the inauguration that took place on January 20th, 2021? Some folks, like myself, refer to it more as an installation than an inauguration. They are still going with their same crap. Check this out. Department of Justice today for immediate release. Former advisor to presidential candidate among 3 defendants charged with acting as agents of a foreign government. 20 guesses, and you'll only need one. Which of the former presidential candidates they're talking about? Here's a clue. He actually became president. Legitimately so. Regardless of the continued false narrative about Russia, Russia, Russia. Former advisor to presidential candidate among 3 defendants charged with acting as agents of a foreign government. Defendants allegedly acted and conspired to act at the direction of a senior United Arab Emirates official to influence a presidential campaign, public opinion, and the U.S. government. That's right. With absolutely no self-awareness, with absolute hubris, and no sense of irony, the Department of Justice of the former Vice President Joe Biden, the commander-in-chief, has gone after a former advisor of President Trump for allegedly acting and conspiring on the behalf of a foreign government to influence a presidential campaign, public opinion, and the U.S. government. Oh my heck, folks. It doesn't get any freaking richer than this. A 7-count indictment was unsealed today in a New York federal court relating to the defendant's unlawful efforts to advance the interests of the United Arab Emirates in the United States at the direction of senior UAE officials by influencing the foreign policy positions of the campaign of a candidate in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, and subsequently the foreign policy positions of the U.S. government in the incoming administration, as well as seeking to influence public opinion in favor of UAE interests. I guess if you advocate for peace, that makes you a shill. Thomas Joseph Barrack, 74, or Barack, of Santa Monica, California. I won't go through the other names. This is what you need to know. The indictment also charges Barack or Barrack with obstruction of justice and making multiple false statements during a June 20th, 2019 interview with federal law enforcement agencies. Oh, let me just cut to the chase, folks. Thomas Barack, or Barrack, I don't know his name. I'll have it figured out here. He was a chairman of Trump's 2017 inaugural fund. They've been investigating him for a few years now, and this is what it's all about. According to the feds, then candidate Trump's May 2016 speech on energy policy caught their attention. The 7-count indictment alleges that Barrack inserted language praising to the UAE into Trump's speech and emailed an advanced draft of the speech to al-Shahahi for delivery to senior UAE officials. Folks, a speech from then candidate Trump in May 2016. This is all they've got. Because the speech, it had language that was praising of the UAE. Yet, Tony Podesta, no charges against him, acting as a foreign agent and not registered. The same thing they sent Paul Manafort to jail for, to prison for. Hunter getting money from, as the son. Now remember, President Trump at the time, private citizen and a candidate. Hunter was a son of a vice president. And now we're told that he is officially the man that's supposed to be in the Oval Office, getting money, actual money, no one's denied it, from Russian oligarchs, money out of Ukraine and money out of China. We have Joey on tape, on video, saying that because of money that his son made, essentially, he put the squeeze on and got someone fired. And yet that man is sitting in the Oval Office. And this man has just been indicted. Folks, this is just a tip of the iceberg. This is a cold open, if you will. Let's get started with today's episode. And you, when we're done with this, I'm not going to make you feel good and warm and fuzzy. You need to know, we need to know what's really going on. We need to understand the situation that we're in if we're going to do something about it. But luckily, we've got a couple warriors. I'm going to highlight them fighting along with us. Let's hear Mrs. BCP, my wonderful wife who I've been married to now for more than half my life. Give us the introduction and let's get into the news of the day.
Welcome to Open Source News. Please like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Have a blessed day.
Welcome to Open Source News. I am your brother and your host, BCP. As you can see, we're back in the studio. We were not in the studio for the last week or so. We were actually not even in the country. We were in our neighboring country, Mexico, by the beach, not too far from where my wife grew up as a teenager. But we're back here, folks, and we've got a lot for you. By the way, if you like these videos, like these updates, if you like our reporting, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're one of the few people that are allowed to see our YouTube material without actually being a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, make sure that you still are. And also check out bcpextras.com. It's our off-platform show on Patreon, where we get to report and talk about and analyze news stories that we can't touch on this platform. And boy, the episode we have coming up later today is jam-packed full of information. Please check it out. And also, we have a backup YouTube channel just in case we have interruptions here, as we did a few months ago for 6 weeks, and that is the BCP Report. You can always go to the bcpreport.com to access it. Let's get into this, folks. Guess what? A 6th Texas Democrat in D.C. has tested positive, which that's 6 out of 55. That is more than 10%, right? Because 6 out of 60 would be 10%. With 6 of 55 of the runaways, I love it how the Dallas Morning News puts it, testing positive, a face-to-face with Joey grows remote as allies hail them as soldiers fighting for everybody on the Democrat Marxist side on voting rights. With the virus hitting more than 10% of the Texas Democrats who fled Austin to stymie a GOP election bill, the runaways spent Monday strategizing ways to prod Congress for new voting rights protections without being able to lobby in person. By the way, these are state legislators. These are not legislators to the U.S. House of Representatives. These are legislators that represent Texas citizens in the Texas legislation. They have no damn business spending their Texas taxpayers' money to go lobbying in Washington. They're not Washington Democrats. They're Texas Democrats. A 6th member of the Texas House tested positive on Monday, according to Representative Retta Bowers of Dallas, adding that she and others have brought food to those quarantining in their rooms. Now, check this out. I'm going to read a quote here that's going to drive you nuts. It's definitely not stopping our work, she said. We're just having to be a whole lot more careful. Folks, State Representative Retta Bowers left Texas. She abdicated her responsibility as a state legislator. She is not working. She is not in this special session. And she actually says the virus is not stopping our work. I guess it's true. The virus didn't stop their work. They stopped their work by leaving the state. At the White House, a few blocks away from their hotel hideaway, Press Secretary Jen Psaki, I'll play some of this for you in a moment, shrugged aside the concerns that the former Senator Harris could have caught the virus from the Texans or may now be putting the former Vice President Joe Biden at risk. Harris spent an hour with them last Tuesday, 3 days before one lawmaker developed cold-like symptoms and then tested positive. Now, of course, these super spreader events don't happen when the Blam and the Antifa people are out there without face coverings, without social distancing last year, rioting and making merry with mayhem. No, it only happens when you have a conservative event, when Trump has a rally. And even though we have more than 10% of these bastards from Texas getting the Wu flu, there's nothing to worry about when it comes to Harris or the former vice president. Apparently, nothing to see here. There haven't been any additional precautions taken, Psaki said after noting that Harris has been tested negative and insisting that her visit to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on Sunday was routine and previously scheduled. Like we're supposed to believe that pile of crap. But with 6 of the 55 fugitives, I really like the writing style here of the Dallas Morning News, at least this writer. Kudos to Todd J. Gilman. I'm going to have to send them an email later today, give them kudos for this article. But with 6 of the 55 fugitives testing positive since Friday, the Texans' hope of meeting with Joey this week dimmed substantially. The outbreak upended their plans to return to the U.S. Capitol for more lobbying. By the way, Texans, you're paying for this. Can't wait to see. I hope that Fox News or Newsmax, I don't really care about Fox News, they suck. But I hope Newsmax or OAN or a conservative outlet gets the CNN tip when these bastards land back in Texas and they're arrested. I hope they get swarmed on, and there is a televising of it, a la Roger Stone, when these Texas Democrats return back to the state and get arrested. I have my popcorn right in the pantry next to the microwave for when that happens. The outbreak upended their plans to return to the U.S. Capitol for more lobbying. Democrats nationwide are clamoring for federal voting rights legislation to tamp down restrictions emerging from Austin and other GOP-controlled state capitals in the wake of Donald Trump's. It says defeat there, but I'm not going to use the word defeat. Let's just say there's some information pending. Anyway, that's all I want to read about that, folks. But the irony of this whole thing. And, you know, some folks, I've been seeing a lot, folks were talking about this in the past, and it was conspiratorial theorizing, according to this platform and others, that perhaps these Democrat legislators in Texas and other places really didn't get the inoculation, that perhaps it was just a water solution, or it was TV voodoo fakery of special effects, that perhaps they really didn't get what they're selling to the masses. Makes you wonder, if supposedly they got this, why are they still getting that? Something to think about. Oh, also notice how the variants that were being fear-mongered with only started becoming pushed by the mainstream media and this regime when they got to the point where they realized they weren't going to meet their 70% inoculation number. How is it that after 15 months, no scare of variants, a little scare about the Brazil strain and the UK strain, of course, because that's China's talking point. We've got to forget the origin of this thing. We've got to make sure that people in their mind don't think China when they think the 19. So we talk about variants from the UK and Brazil, but that didn't stick very long. Relatively silent on any variants for the last 8 or 9 months. Oh, but now that we're pushing for the jab, all of a sudden, folks, there's variants that we need to be scared of. And I'm not just talking about that terrible Disney Plus show called Loki.